What's up guys? So today's video is going to be about negative indices, and in the previous video we talked about zero indices. We used 3 to the power of 3 equals to 27, and we repeatedly divide both sides by 3 in order to bring down the power of base 3 from 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. So eventually when we reach 3 to the power of 0 over here, our right hand side equals to 1. So applying that process a little bit further is going to help us to see what is the value of 3 to the power of negative 1 and so on. So I'm going to divide 3 to the power of 0 by 3 to get 3 to the power of negative 1. So whenever we have negative numbers, let's take one more step to try to convince ourselves this works. 3 to the power of 0 divided by 3, which is 3 to the power of 1 actually, will give me 3 to the power of 0 minus, remember this is law 2 where both bases are the same and is separated by a division, means my power is a subtraction. So therefore we get 3 to the power of negative 1, and this is what I get on the left hand side. So on the right hand side I have 1 divided by 3, so essentially this is just 1 over 3. In fact, this is 1 over 3 to the power of 1. Now I pause over here to make a very important observation. So this allows me to convert a negative index to a positive index. Notice on the left hand side 3 has a negative index, whereas on the right hand side in the denominator over here is 3 to the power of positive 1. I have now successfully converted the index from negative to positive. However, this base 3 has now gone into the denominator. So let's take very good notice of this. Now I'm going to see further, what about other negative indices? Does the same observation still hold? So I'm going to further divide both sides by 3. And on the left hand side, I will get 3 to the power of negative 2. Again, I'm going to do a bit of a side working. So 3 to the power of negative 1 divided by 3 to the power of 1 is going to give me 3 to the power of negative 1. Division means in the power I minus. And then I have 3 to the power of negative 2. So we're convinced that the left hand side is correct. On the right hand side, I have 1 over 3 divided by 3. So how does this work? I can tell you from the onset that this is going to become 1 over 3 to the power of 2, but let's convince ourselves that works. So okay, let me leave it here for a while. So let me try to convince you. So 1 over 3 divided by 3 is going to give me 1 over 3, and you flip this, meaning you keep the 1 over 3, you change the division to multiplication, and for this 3 is actually 3 over 1, so you flip it into 1 over 3. So this is the keep change flip from primary school. And in this process, eventually I will get 1 over, you could say this is 1 over 9, but I will just keep it in its index form. So I'm going to put 1 over 3 to the power of 2. So this is a very powerful observation. We have now also convinced ourselves that for power negative 2, the same observation still holds. So 3 to the power of negative 2 will give me 1 over 3 to the power of 2. The index has gone from a negative 2 to a positive 2. And again, the base 3 ended up in the denominator. So we try to understand a few things here. We could repeat the process and eventually still get more similar observations. Okay, so eventually if we extend it to 3 to the power of negative 3, it will give me 1 over 3 to the power of 3 and so on. So let's try to generalize this relationship. So again, what we had just now was simply an observation that, for example, 3 to the power of negative 2 is going to give me 1 over 3 to the power of 2. So if I have a base A and a negative power of n is going to give me 1 over a to the power of n. So I'm going to say this generalization here, okay, and I'm going to make a few other observations about this. So basically, this a to the power of negative n is similar to saying it is a to the power of negative n over 1, and it is also the same as saying it is 1 over a to the power n. So notice that this a to the power of negative n, this a was originally in the numerator carrying a negative power. If I were to be asked to convert this to a positive index, then it's the same as putting this base a, instead of in the numerator, I now put it in the denominator and changing it to positive index. So a really simple example would be to convert, let's say, 2 to the power of negative 7 to positive index. And therefore, the conversion will be 2 to the power of negative 7 equals to 1 over 2 to the power of 7. So this base 2 goes to the denominator. Alright, and then my power changes from a negative to a positive power. Now, what happens if, for example, if I get something like this, 1 over, let's say, 5 to the power of negative 3. What if my base is in the denominator carrying a negative power? So just now, we are converting a number, a base, a, from negative index to positive index by shifting this base a to the denominator. But what if the base starts from the denominator? What should we do? So I'm going to do a very simple explanation before I do a generalization for two different situations. So what happens if it's 1 over 5 to the power of negative 3? Now the negative index is for the base in denominator. So I'm going to do a very simple change to 1 divided by 5 to the power of negative 3. And applying what we have just now, I will change this to 1 divided by 1 over 5 to the power of 3. Remember, I'm just looking at this 5 to the power of negative 3. I convert this to positive index of 3 by moving the base 5 to the denominator. So now I have this situation. Next, I will do a keep change flip. I keep the 1. I change to multiplication, and I flip this fraction to 5 to the power of 3 over 1. Okay, and in the end, I should get 5 to the power of 3. So summarizing this, what did I have? 1 over 5 to the power of negative 3 is actually just 5 to the power of 3. So this is no different from saying 5 to the power of 3 over 1. So if the denominator has a base with a negative index, I can change the base up to the numerator and changing the power to positive. So let us summarize this whole negative indices. So in the first part of the video, I went through the situation where I have a base a to a negative index. So this is like the situation of 5 to the power of negative 3. Okay, I can move the base 5 to the denominator, okay, and change the power to positive power. And in the situation whereby the negative power appears in the denominator, so for example 1 over 5 to the power of negative 3, okay, I can change this to 5 to the power of 3. Okay, so I hope this gives you a really good idea of how to convert negative indices to positive indices and then work on from there. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you like this video and find that it's useful for you. Until the next time, goodbye.